Merlin Santana, born March 14, 1976, died November 9, 2002. Today's feature looks at the life and talent of Merlin Santana, an actor whose rise was steady, disciplined, and rooted in quiet confidence Hollywood rarely sees in someone so young. He wasn't the loud, unpredictable type of child star. He grew into his career with control and maturity, earning roles slowly until the right opportunities found him. From the Cosby Show to the Steve Harvey Show, Merlin showed a presence that felt older than his age and a charisma that made viewers believe he was headed somewhere bigger. He was transitioning into dramatic roles, building toward a future the industry was finally ready to recognize. But just as everything aligned, a single night took everything away, leaving behind a story still hard to make sense of. What happened? Let's talk about it. Merlin Santana was an actor from New York City, raised in a Dominican household that valued discipline and work ethic, traits that showed early in his career. His path into entertainment began when a family friend suggested modeling, which led to national commercials and eventually caught the attention of casting directors. By age 15, he landed a recurring role on The Cosby Show as Rudy's boyfriend Stanley, a part that introduced him to millions and established him as a young talent with natural timing and screen presence. He continued building credits through the early 90s with appearances on shows like Getting By, Sister Sister, and The Parenthood, proving he could transition from child star to young adult actor without losing momentum. His breakout came in 1996 when he was cast as Romeo Santana on The Steve Harvey Show, becoming one of the most recognizable young faces on black television. As the show progressed, Merlin began seeking film roles, earning parts in Under One Roof, The Blues, and Flossin' by his mid-20s. He was preparing to shift into more mature roles, signaling the start of a promising second phase of his career. Stunt number 1, a career that outgrew his image. Merlin Santana's first major obstacle came from the very thing that made him famous, his image. As Romeo on The Steve Harvey Show, he was charismatic, confident, and effortlessly cool, a character so memorable that it became both a blessing and a barrier. Audiences loved him for it, but Hollywood has a habit of locking young black actors into one version of themselves. While Merlin was ready to move into deeper, more mature roles, casting directors continued to see him as the smooth-talking teen heartthrob instead of the serious actor he was becoming behind the scenes. This typecasting slowed his momentum at a critical time in his career. Post-Steve Harvey Show, Merlin auditioned for film roles and dramatic projects, but many never made it past early conversations because he didn't fit the narrow lane Hollywood imagined for him. Even when he landed roles in smaller films, they rarely matched his ambition or the emotional depth he wanted to show. The industry recognized his charm but wasn't ready to trust him with the complexity he trained for. By the time he started breaking out of that mold, the window wasn't wide, and tragically, he wouldn't get long enough to pass through. Stunt number 2, wrong place, wrong people, wrong night. Merlin Santana's second major setback wasn't tied to his talent or career decisions. It was the environment he found himself in and the people he trusted. After years of working steadily, Merlin moved to Los Angeles to position himself closer to film opportunities. But LA in the early 2000s wasn't just a land of auditions and agents. It was also a city where young actors often mixed with the people outside the industry who didn't share their discipline or direction. Merlin kept a low profile, but the crowd around him didn't always reflect the path he was trying to follow. On the night of his death, Merlin was riding with a friend after a visit to someone's home when a 15-year-old girl falsely claimed he made inappropriate advances toward her. That lie set off a chain reaction. The girl's accusation triggered two young men, already armed and unstable, to act on emotion rather than truth. As Merlin and his friend drove away, the car was ambushed, and Merlin was struck by a fatal shot from behind. He had no confrontation, no argument, no warning. His life ended because his path crossed with the wrong people at the worst possible time, a tragic reminder of how quickly innocence can be overshadowed by someone else's recklessness. Stunt number 3, a future stolen just as it was forming. The final stunt in Merlin Santana's story is the one that hurts the most, the future he never got to live. At 26, he was finally entering the phase most actors spend years fighting to reach. The The Steve Harvey Show had ended. Typecasting was beginning to loosen. He was stepping into roles that didn't rely on charm alone, showing directors he was capable of depth, range, and grown man presence. For young black actors, that transition is rare, and Merlin was one of the few positioned to make it. But his murder didn't just end his life, it erased the years of development he had invested. Hollywood rarely circles back for actors after long breaks, let alone those who pass before they could leave a defining adult performance. Merlin's best work was still ahead of him. Fans never got to see the dramatic role he was capable of, the leading man lane he was approaching, or the evolution from child star to established actor that he had quietly built toward for over a decade. Instead, his story became frozen at the point of his death, remembered more for the tragedy than the talent, and the industry lost someone who was just beginning to show how far he could really go. All in all, Merlin Santana's story is a reminder of how unpredictable life can be, even for someone doing everything right. He survived the pressures of child stardom, transitioned into adult roles with maturity, and carried himself with the professionalism and focus Hollywood rarely sees in young actors. His talent was real, his momentum was building, and the next chapter of his career was finally opening. But one lie, one moment, and one senseless act of violence cut through all of it, leaving behind a story defined more by loss than the promise he worked so hard to build. Merlin didn't fall off, lose control, or fade away. His growth was taken from him, and in that, his story stands as one of the most painful examples of potential interrupted. A young man on the verge of a new beginning, gone before the world would ever get to see the full picture. Salute, much respect, rest in peace to Merlin Santana. It's your boy JC Stunt Growth, and I'm out.